So I've just found a really funny clip of Tommy Robinson when he was younger, when his daughter was 8. Apparently, in a swimming pool, a guy grabbed his daughter's ass, and she told him. And I think there's a lot actually that I could say about this, because it's one of these ones where, is it wrong? Is it right? Did they handle it right? And I want to give my view on this, because I feel like this is probably a very debatable subject, because on one hand, okay, you can't just go around punching people. If you think they've done something like grab your daughter's ass, I can understand that there would be some people that are really angry at this, but I can also understand that there would be plenty of people, probably 90%. I would love to know the percentage of this. Like I reckon about 90% of people wouldn't do anything. I know if I would have told my dad at any age that someone had just grabbed my ass, he would have just grunted and then walked off. Like, he would have done absolutely nothing. He wouldn't have cared. My dad's slightly very autistic. My dad's very autistic, so he wouldn't have cared. He just would have gone on his day, and I probably wouldn't even told him. I wouldn't have told him. I would have felt like it was my fault for being in the way, or I wouldn't have even thought. I don't even know if I would have thought anything of it, though, because people grabbing my ass is not common, but it's common in a massage. But I guess in a massage it's different, because I'm massaging their body, and I'm touching their ass, so I don't know, that's different, plus I'm getting paid for it. But yeah, if someone grabbed my ass on the streets, which has happened occasionally, I usually like flinch and look back and like kind of give them like a really evil stare. It's happened in a club once or twice when I'm drunk, and I have hit them back, but I think it wasn't in a, it was kind of like, don't, like, I don't know, but that's, I don't know, it's happened, but it's not nice when it's completely out of nowhere. And I think if you're a parent who knows that that's happened to your kid, I mean, technically no one got harmed, there was no bruises, no one, but at the end of the day, though, I feel like there's a lot of people can react differently to this. There's a lot of people that wouldn't think that it was that bad, and they would think that, okay, you can report it to the police probably won't do anything. They'd probably just say, oh, well, it's just they'll probably see it as nothing. That's the thing, though. I think a lot of policemen would just think, well, if it happened to my wife, if it happened to my children, how would they respond? I would like to know that. How would they respond, and how should you respond? Because I know my dad wouldn't give a shit. If it happened to my daughter, I would tell her to try and ignore it, and just try and avoid people like this, or stay away from him. I would kind of I would keep it probably on a very low. I wouldn't put it on an aggressive level, because I think punching someone is worse than them grabbing your ass. But yeah, it is concerning, because a child is a child, and this shouldn't happen. And I guess this is debatable. But I think, because I know that my father wouldn't give a shit, because of this, I feel like it's probably, if it happened to my child, I would just be like, well, there's nothing I can do, and I can report it, but the police are probably not going to take it seriously. Like, I would just almost automatically assume that they're not going to take it seriously. Now, if you're someone who has taken it seriously, and you have called the police, and you're expecting this guy to be arrested, and they end up, arresting you instead, on one hand, if you're the one that's screaming and shouting, and if you're the one who has witnesses being, punching someone, I can understand that there are a lot of people that are going to see that as the worst of crime. No one saw the girl's ass being grabbed, but people did see this attack, and therefore this person might be seen as the aggressive one. But at the same time, if that person, why would that daughter lie about something like this to set the father off? That it's unlikely that she's lying to set him off. So it's he looks like a proper EastEnders character, though. I think someone like that would be a really good EastEnders character. I don't watch EastEnders now, but I have watched EastEnders throughout most of my life. I've kind of given up recently, but yeah, I don't know. Like on one hand, I don't think he should have been arrested, because they should have probably taken they should have taken the child's allegations a bit more seriously. And I think if I was in that situation, I would probably go up to the people and say, well, allegedly you touched a child's ass, and now this is an 8-year-old. Why are you touching 8-year-old's ass? I think I would try, before arresting or before doing anything, I would take his claim, and then I would go to the other people, and I would make it clear that that there's an allegation that you've just touched an 8-year-old's ass, so we now need to do checks on you for paedophilia. And I would look at that person and say, how would you like it if we are now going to take, we want your name, and we want to do checks on you. Can we have your phone? I don't know. How can you? Because I understand that there's some offences that are arrestable and some that are not arrestable. Now, if a guy just grabbed an 18-year-old's ass, you can't arrest someone for that. I mean, technically it's a sexual assault, but you can't arrest someone for doing something like this. It's bad behaviour and you shouldn't act this way. But at the same time, there are a lot of guys that do this, and I don't think the police have the money, time or resources to be arresting these people. When it comes to children, they should definitely take it more seriously, but at the same time, I know that there are plenty of parents that might hear that this has happened to their child and they wouldn't do anything. Hence, the police might start thinking, well, most parents wouldn't react this way, hence we need to arrest Tommy for reacting in a sort of a protective way. It's a very protective way, and on one hand, I think parents should be like that, and this is how you need to be protected over your kids, and you need to feel that I don't want this to happen again, and I don't want this person to go off and do it to other people. And I think also, if you've had a life where that Islam is full of paedophiles, and that they've been letting more and more paedophiles in, and then that happens to your child, I feel like that would definitely gaslight anger in you to make you want to attack back. And I think they definitely deserve a punch. I don't know how many children's asses they've done that to, but I think if you keep doing it, it's only a matter of time before someone gets punched, and maybe the police could have said, we're going to look into that person, we've got that person's details, and we're going to do an investigation, but we're not going to arrest them because we feel that the few punches that you gave to him was enough to justify. I don't know, because I don't know how to handle. I want to handle it according to how the public feel. I feel like this is one of these kind of ones where, is it bad? Is it? Because I know my dad wouldn't have given a shit. I feel like, because my dad wouldn't have given a shit, I can understand why some people would think that there's nothing wrong with it, because they might think about their useless dads that don't give a shit about them, and they might just think, well, my parents wouldn't have done nothing. You should have just told the child to forget about it. But then again, that telling your child to forget about it and just acting like there's no problem, it's only going to make these people do it again and again and again, and then that is a problem. So it's one of these ones where it needs to stop and it needs to be taken more seriously, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of people that have parents that just don't give a shit about them, and therefore they would think, well, my parents wouldn't have reacted in this way. He is reacting in this way, so we see a justified reason to, this person has attacked someone without just going to the police. I mean, he probably knew that if you go to the police, they'll do nothing. But yeah, I don't know. If they didn't come for 3 hours, so he held them down for 3 hours, and I'm not too sure about what's. Apparently, it said that it took 3 hours for the police to come through it, but I don't know. I just want to talk about it because I don't know how I would like a reaction. I would like to say this and actually get a reaction from how people think. I'd like to ask the police officers in this situation, if this had happened to your child, how would you feel? How would you handle it? How would you deal with it? Because if these people are just people who are like my dad and just think, just ignore it, does that mean that they're right? No, it doesn't. My dad doesn't give a shit about me, and maybe these parents don't give a shit about their kids. But at the same time, I just see that as normal. So it's not like it's overreacting and wanting to punch back is probably a good thing. But at the same time, because I'm not used to it, it's like it's hard to know if something's good or bad because my parents wouldn't have reacted that way. So it's complicated.